Hi, welcome to the Gun Room. I'm with Mitch. There's no Jay tonight. He's not very well. We don't know what's wrong with him, but we'll find out in due course, and he'll be in the next one. How are you, Mitch? You all right?
I'm not too bad. Thanks again for having me.
Well, you're very welcome. Not one match tonight, but two. Aston Villa and Liverpool. We'll talk mainly about Aston Villa because that's the one that got us 4 points in front of Ronaldo United, which is always nice. But let's start with the Liverpool game. We were going and doing a great job against Liverpool on Wednesday, especially in the first half, toe to toe, frustrating, making things awkward and difficult. It was a below par Liverpool, wasn't it? They just couldn't seem to get going. What did you make of it all?
I think it was less so a below par Liverpool and more so we played really well. Like we did a really good job, just like in the Man City game, of kind of playing the way we want to play, and we did a really good job of it. Bar two moments in the match, we were probably the better team on the day. Um, you know, uh, Liverpool's just got that quality. They've got that experience. I don't think most fans were expecting really anything to come out of the match in our favor. It was like there's a chance maybe we'll get something out of it. Obviously, that didn't happen, but far from end of the world kind of thing to lose 2-0 to Liverpool. I think we put a pretty good performance in. Nothing to hang our heads about, and we moved on and bounced back pretty well against Aston Villa in the weekend.
We'll talk about that 8 annoying minutes, that collapse in a minute. But what, in general, were you pleased about from our performance?
I think, considering the circumstances, I think we played really well in terms of just like how we want to play. Like we didn't just like completely change our system or shy away from playing out of the back. We did exactly what we want to be doing each match. Liverpool's really good at pressing, especially high. So it can be scary for a young team to potentially play out of the back, and that's what we do best, and that's how we operate. And so it can be a little scary sometimes, and so sometimes there can be a little bit of an inclination to, all right, let's just go long every time. Let's not keep possession because we don't want to lose in a dangerous area. Whatever the case may be, but we did a really good job of maintaining our identity and playing really well regardless. I think Liverpool did a good job of like kind of knowing our spots. Like they man marked Odegaard, and he was not able to get into the game much, which is unfortunate because he's a player that can really do a lot once he is given the freedom on the ball. And Liverpool knew that if they stopped him, they stopped a large part of our attack going forward. And they were right about it. It was unfortunate to see him not really get into the game that much. I don't think it was really on him as much as it was Liverpool putting a lot of resources in to neutralize that right side that we've talked about a lot, being really effective with Saka and Odegaard. I think for the most part, Xhaka and Party, I think played really well. I think our defenders were pretty good, bar the goals. Ramsdale had an off game, and I think we found out in the weekend that it was due to injury. Where the last like 60 minutes of the Liverpool game, he wasn't himself, and then you can see that he gets beat near post in the first goal, and that as a goalkeeper, that's just like the last thing you want to have happen. And it was like a really slow reaction time. It's not something we've seen very much from Ramsdale. So a little uncharacteristic there, but we saw that was from injury. Hopefully, it's not too serious. Hopefully, he'll be back after the international break. But you know, not the greatest result, but I think we played how we want to play. Liverpool respects how we want to play. Klopp has given our players a lot of praise. He's given us a lot of praise. I don't think they were ever going to go into this game being like, oh, it's just Arsenal. Like we've established ourselves as the fourth best team in the country at least, and I think a lot of teams are respecting us as such, especially Liverpool and especially Man City. I mean, I remember back in the Man City game that there was like a screenshot of like 5 Man City players surrounding Bukayo Saka. Uh, like we clearly have that respect. We played a pretty good game. We want to be going toe to toe with them next year, and I think we're heading in that direction.
As you say, we lost this game in 8 minutes. That Jota goal was it a concentration lapse? Was it effective pressing from them? Which one was it?
I mean, I think I mean they're good at slipping
Wasn't
those
pretty,
balls
was
in.
it?
No, it was not. But like, I don't think it's necessarily on the like the hugest fault on our defense. I think Liverpool's really good at slipping those balls in behind. Jota's really good at getting in behind, especially against us. Biggest thing is against Ramsdale. To get beat near post is really big. It's the last thing you want as a goalkeeper, and I think it was due to the injury that he picked up somewhere in that match. His reaction time was clearly slower to be able to not get there, because that's a shot he saves 8 out of 10 times. And he
I'm
knows
wondering
that.
if he had problems before that, because his distribution
so.
wasn't as brilliant as it normally is. He was kind of passing out from the back a lot. Normally he kicks the ball upfield, doesn't he? I was just wondering that a couple of games back, but no disrespect. I mean, he's a fantastic keeper, and it's just one of those things. Strikers suffer when they don't score goals. Goalkeepers suffer when they let the ball in. Let's go to that second goal. That was another clumsy eye varnish, wasn't it? Firmino, similar lapse. Take us hand by hand and steer us through it, Mitch. Ugly as it was.
I remember I think after the match, I called out a couple of players that I thought had pretty good performances, and Cedric was one of them, right? Because I feel like everyone was kind of like, oh no, Cedric against Diaz is going to be awful. He's going to get cooked. And I think he had a pretty good game for the most part. I missed his involvement in the second goal, and he completely missed his mark. And I think this was a really good goal by Liverpool. Firmino is really good of getting those quick runs into the box, getting his body in front of defenders to score. He did a great job of it there. I don't think it's anything that our defenders necessarily did wrong, other than Cedric of letting that run get in behind to put that ball in. But it just shows Liverpool's quality. They've got, especially with the Luis Diaz signing in January, they've just got quality all over the attack. With the fact that they benched Salah didn't even start, and they were still just as effective before he came on as they were after, shows just how deep they are in a lot of areas. So like I said earlier, solid performance by us, but we want to be going toe to toe with them next season, and I think we're heading that direction.
They're quite good left and right as well, haven't they? Because they've got Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right, and then they've got Robertson on the left.
Yeah, and about those two, I think Martinelli and Saka did a great job of causing a lot of issues going forward, to where Trent and Robertson weren't really able to get that involved in the match. I think that was substantial, and definitely something that I noticed out of the game is they weren't able to make as much of an impact offensively, because they had so much to deal with going back, because of Saka and Martinelli's just threat going forward, and then also their work rates going back to be able to track back. So I mean, good performances by the two of them. Trent got cooked a couple times by Martinelli, and that was fun to see.
I thought he was going to explode. He was getting pegged back, wasn't he? That second goal was, if we say Ramsdale was the error for the first goal, Saka was responsible for the second, wasn't he, really? Should have just put the ball out, but he thought he could get hold of it, and then Robertson just whipped up, nicked it off his toe type of thing, and put that ball in. Really sharp, low, evil-looking cross. And as you say, Ramsdale, slow to get down again. But the defence were caught static in a line. They just didn't respond quick enough. They didn't expect it.
I just didn't see Firmino coming in, and credit to him. I made a really nice run there, and really quality finish from that range. I mean, it's a short range, but it's still tough to do, to get in that angle and to get your foot on the ball to redirect it into the net. It takes real skill. He's good at that. And it's a credit to him more than anything. The defense probably could have been more prepared for it. Saka could have probably been a little safer with the ball, but I don't think there's that much you could do on that goal, other than to just, Liverpool's quality showed itself there.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying, isn't it? Because it's two sucker punches. They weren't amazing goals or anything like that. They were kind of routine things that we should have seen off, and we've done so well. That first half, we really contained them. We really pinned them back, and they didn't know what to do with us, really. Is this another example of our lack of penetration on this occasion? Fashioning some chances, unable to capitalise. Saka and Martinelli were a constant thorn in Liverpool's arse, weren't they? And as you say, Trent Alexander-Arnold had a dickens of a time. So much so, he's got a hamstring injury. By the time the subs came on, it was virtually done and dusted, wasn't it? It was really over.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really have a chance after the second goal. It was pretty much over from there. I don't think it's anything against our team's mentality or anything. I think they kept pushing the entire game, but it just wasn't there for us that night. I think we had a couple decent chances early on. I think the biggest one would be the Martinelli like nutmeg on Henderson to get to the byline, and he put a nice ball in, but no one was there. And it was very like almost similar to Liverpool's second goal, where a low cross gets put in, and they have a quality finisher like Firmino who's going to go at that and score. And Lacazette wasn't there to do that. So, I think that's one of the biggest things. Lacazette's obviously, the striker position is obviously something that we've talked a lot about of improving in the summer. And there's definitely holes in Lacazette's game, and that is one of them when it comes to finding those balls in the box. And it definitely hurt us last week. But I don't think it's anything. Again, not the end of the world that we lost Liverpool.
Ben White and Gabriel played well. Martinelli, Saka. Who was your man of the match out of that lot?
I think my favorite performers were Partey and Xhaka, and Martinelli. I think Partey and Xhaka both controlled the game really nicely. I think Xhaka dropped a little bit deeper into that double pivot role that we've seen a lot with the 4-2-3-1, a little bit more than usual, which I think just comes with playing against Liverpool. You're on the back foot a little bit more often. Martinelli had a lot of energy on that left wing. I really liked what I saw from him. But Partey's just really good at controlling the game and evading pressure and
he's coming into his own now, Mitch, isn't he?
He's
starting
sure.
To look the player that we all thought he was.
This entire calendar year, he has looked like the 50 million pound player we bought from Atletico Madrid. He's really, really growing into that 6 role. And him, Xhaka, and Odegaard are all clicking at the same time. And that's going to be really, really key from here to the end of the season. If we can keep all of them healthy and all of them clicking, that's huge for just the entire tempo of our team. And if that is the case, we keep all of them healthy, keep all of them clicking towards the end of the season, we're going to make top 4.
It's kind of odd because Partey has got a lot better since he got sent off. We can't always say the same for Mr. Xhaka. But
I think we can say the same for Xhaka. I think that's the cycle. I think he gets sent off, comes back, plays great. Everything's fine, and then he gets sent off again, and everyone hates him, wants to sell him, and then he comes back, plays well again. Everyone's like, "Oh, right, Xhaka's really good," and then he gets sent off again. So I'm cross my fingers that the cycle breaks because I feel like we're gearing up towards a Xhaka red card in the next couple games.
He's kind of gone under the radar, hasn't he? This new advanced position. It's all clicking well with Partey, and the hate campaign against Xhaka. I'm not very complimentary about him sometimes. He gets on the nerves, and it's that rush of blood, isn't it, to the head that he just gets sent off or picks up stupid yellow cards. But he's really under the radar.
He's been one of our best players this entire month. I think he's a serious contender for player of the month because I just realized we have no more matches in March, so we can have this kind of conversation of who is your player of the month for March. And I think Xhaka has a very strong case for it. I think there was rightfully a lot of criticism with him looking a little static in that left 8 role, but I think he's grown into a little bit. He plays a little bit more advanced when he plays for Switzerland as well. And some of these balls that he's playing into space have been really, really effective. And he's been a really, really solid player over the last, ever since he's come back from injury, ever since the Everton game, he's been really, really solid other than like the red card against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup. But I mean, he has a very strong case to be player of the month. Honestly, I think he's been quality in every single match we've played this month.
Incidentally, my man of the match for that match was Martinelli.
I can't blame you for that.
Bundles and bundles of energy. He looked a real force to be reckoned with. He was hot on his feet. People didn't know what to do with him, and he's going to be a hell of a player. We're going to do a profile on him a bit later on. I know you've got plenty to say about that Newcastle goal, so we'll pick up on that. Onto the Villa game. Starting 11, Bernd Leno, Gabriel, Ben White, Cedric Suarez, Kieran Tierney, Thomas Partey, Martin Odegaard, Granit Xhaka, bless him, Lacazette, Saka, and Smith Rowe. Were you happy with that lineup?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a surprise. There was reports that came out like the night before and like right before the match that Ramsdale had picked up that injury. So there was a lot of like speculation of like people saw him going with the team on the bus and it's like, oh, I think Ramsdale's probably healthy. I think we're good. And then Leno was announced as the starter, and I think a lot of fear swept over a lot of fans. Although I think he kind of proved that it was a little bit unwarranted. That while Leno, I don't think matches our system as well as Ramsdale does. And Ramsdale is phenomenal at everything he does, especially in our system. But Leno is far from a poor backup goalkeeper. I would make an argument that he's probably the best backup goalkeeper in the Premier League because he could be starting for half the teams. He's an excellent shot stopper. I think we saw a little bit of those limitations in the match with his distribution. I think he hit a lot of like long balls just out of bounds, and it's like that's not what we really want. And like the back line kind of ignored him in buildup, which was interesting. So you saw those limitations a little bit of the drop off in certain areas, but it was from the end of the world that Leno was starting. And then Martinelli had that illness, so Smith Rowe came in, and it's always great to have Smith Rowe into the side. He was tremendous against Villa. He didn't contribute to any goals or assists, but he is just so good at finding space on the left. I'm sure you saw the clip on Twitter of him receiving the ball, passing it inside, and then juking, going down the line, and then cutting back in, and Matty Cash just fell on his ass. And it was just like, oh, okay.
It's always nice to see.
Like you can just juke a player without the ball. That's phenomenal. So some surprises in the lineup for sure because we had some changes last minute due to illness and injury, but nothing to be terrified about.
I think the thing with Leno, from my point of view, is that he doesn't have a physical presence in the box. Yep. Hark back to when we played Brentford and that player lost his arm. Sure. You wouldn't get any of that with Ramsdale, and that's what worries me. Great shot stopper, as you say, and he's a decent goalkeeper, more than decent. But he is found wanting when it gets physical. I don't think he's up for it. But anyway, let's move on. Let's get to the match. My notes say here, relentless onslaught. And to be honest, we should have buried them in the first half. Thoughts on that first half? It was electric, wasn't it? And I've got to just hit the mic, turn it round. Big up the old Arsenal away supporters. They were amazing. Yeah. What a noise.
Fantastic.
God, not get and we, like that.
Yeah, we saw like after the match too, there was just so many Arsenal fans staying there to celebrate the win. Really, really solid first half. Villa had 0 shots. We controlled the game. We absolutely could have had more. Saka's goal was really, really nice to be able to hit that half volley, and that's a tough save to try to make for Martinez with all the bodies in the box from that free kick. So really, really nice goal from Bukayo Saka. And yeah, we were totally unlucky not to get more. But like in an away match like that, if you get your 1 goal, like you're gonna be happy with that. I wrote a thread yesterday about the difference of ways that Arsenal has killed off matches in the last couple. I think we saw very different ways of killing off matches in the Leicester game and now in the Villa game. I think we saw similar things in the Leicester game. it primarily was just us passing the ball around them, keeping possession, controlling the entire game. And we did a good amount of that. Like we had a really, really good build-up sequence that led up to Lacazette having a decent chance that he could have played like Odegaard into the right, could have played probably Smith Rowe, I think, to the left. And he chose to take it himself and kind of just got blocked. So we showed our quality to be able to, in a solid Aston Villa side, be able to control possession and take the ball forward. But at the end of the game, we closed it out using a different method of bringing Rob Holding on, switching into that 5-2-3, sitting into that block, and it was a really, really effective. Rob Holding's been subbed on 6 times this season. He's conceded. There's been 1 goal conceded when he's been on the pitch. It was Rodri's last-minute winner against Manchester City. It's been really, really effective to bring him on late in matches when we don't control possession as well, and have him sit in the middle of a back three, which he's really good at. I think Rob Holding is one of the most effective back three center backs there is right now in the Premier League. And so to bring him in between White and Gabriel, set up this block that Arsenal's really effective in defending in, and just to close out a close win away, I think is a really, really unique way that we can win matches. As opposed, and we're not that one trick pony. We're not like, okay, we're gonna play how we're gonna play no matter what. It's like, okay, well, we're gonna, based on game state, based on the situation, based on Aston Villa just brought on Danny Ings. He's quick. He can very easily score. Let's not try to control possession. Let's not try to play out of the back. Let's set up this block and let's grind this game out. And that's exactly what we did. So really cool to see a different way that we can kill matches after taking a lead, and a really, really effective job by the entire team.
I'll tell you what, there's you mentioned about Rob Holding. There was an article in the Daily Telegraph. It's by Sam Dean. He's came up with an interesting point about Rob Holding when he wrote, "If parking the bus, as it's become known, then Holding is unmistakably the team's driver," pointing out that his introduction and performance against Wolves, that he's the go-to defensive option in a tight spot, just like you said. It's a good one to have. Let's get back to my favourite moment from the match. It's a standout moment for me. It started on the left with Smith Rowe. It went to Xhaka, who did a back heel. Smith Rowe out wide to Saka. Yet again, beautiful interplay with Odegaard. And Odegaard squeezed it through 2 players. He was virtually on their shoulder. There wasn't a gap, but he made one. And there was a wicked Saka cross. And if only ESR and Lacazette had sort of called the ball, that would have probably been goal of the season. It was superb play. Is that now part of our DNA, that type of football, that style of play? It's so exciting.
Yeah, it's really, we've seen so many different interchanges like this over the last this last season. We've been really, really, really good at that. It's really cool to see this attacking presence come into its own for Arsenal. I think the biggest criticism of Arteta for a long time was with very rigidness or seeming rigidness in a lot of players' roles when it's come to attack. And I think we're seeing the fluidity finally coming in. I think Odegaard's been a big part of that, obviously, but also Smith Rowe and Saka having a lot of freedom to shift in and out within the half spaces and the wide areas. Xhaka was a part of that with a nice back heel. And if he gets that kind of technical quality as that high 8, there's not a lot that can stop this kind
of what? I had to
look
at that twice and see who it was. Yeah. I had to rewind it. I was like, Xhaka, what's he doing there? What's he doing back heels? Who does he think he is? Messi?
Great. But it's really awesome to see this kind of fluidity in our attack, and it always leads to just beautiful goals when we can execute on it.
It's just the pace of the football. It's one touch. There's a lot of movement. The movement is absolutely superb. Let's get to that Saka goal after 30 minutes. Give us a little walkthrough of that in a little bit more detail. I know it was a bit ping pong, wasn't it? It kind of ricocheted around the box.
It was a nice ball from Saka to like right at the right moment to let Cedric in where he was on sides. A nice ball in from Cedric, just kind of bounces around. Saka did a nice job of peeling off after putting in Cedric into the box, and ends up at the top of the 18. Is able to put that half volley in between all the players, and Martinez doesn't see it. And it was a really, really nice goal. A really funny celebration. And
Martinez,
really,
who's he? Leno's
really quality stuff. Yeah, really, it was funny that we beat Martinez with both Leno and Ramsdale in goal this season. Like that's got to be just kind of a slap in the face, right?
It's just the incessant whinging, he was at Arsenal. He could have fought for his place with Leno. He decided not to. And if you look, Ramsdale came in, fought for his place, and took his place. So
yeah, I think that like I really want to root for Emi Martinez because I love Emi Martinez. Like we wouldn't have won the FA Cup without him. He was a really, really quality player when Leno stepped in. But like I totally understand from his perspective of wanting to leave and go get game time and choosing to go to Aston Villa to do that. I totally get for his career. I mean, he sat on the bench for so long at Arsenal. I don't blame him for not wanting to like maybe have to do that again if he didn't win the starting job. So I completely understand him doing that. I haven't loved his. It's calmed down a lot now. I think it was especially in like the first year. He talked about Arsenal a lot, and it really was annoying. It was like I really wanted like there are so many players that will leave Arsenal, and I would love if our fan base would unite around them and root for them. Like a lot of them have. Like Callum Chambers, every time he does something cool. I mean, I'm a huge Callum Chambers fan, so I'm always going to be hyped when Callum Chambers does cool stuff. But like all Arsenal fans are like hyped about Callum Chambers doing cool stuff and not being like, why didn't we sell him? Arteta is terrible. And like with like Emi Martinez, it kind of makes him hard to root for because I'd love to root for him if he keeps talking about Arsenal. Luckily, I think that's died down a little bit. But like, it hurts a little bit.
See, I can appreciate his saves when they're not against us. I quite like his saves. He can get as spectacular as he likes.
He's got some real like cockiness to him. Like during the Copa America during the summer, he had some really funny stuff that he was doing during penalty shootouts, and it was fantastic. So fun to root for him for that.
Yeah, he's don't get me wrong, he's an excellent guy, and he's massive. He just fills that goal out. That's what I used to notice about him was I think he gave confidence to the back four as well. Let's get back to Saka. He's coming up for a contract renewal. Apparently, they're talking about giving him a new deal. They better do. How good is this guy going to be? What's so impressive about Saka for you?
I think we're past the point of talking about how good is Bukayo Saka going to be. I think we need to be talking about how good Bukayo Saka is right now. He's 20 years old. He is younger than me, which is crazy because there aren't a lot of professional players that are younger than me. And he is just on another level. Like he's I think there's a very real argument you can make right now that he is the second best right winger in the Premier League. A very real argument that he's the next man behind Mohamed Salah of being the second best at that position. He is just so effective on the right. Majority of the time before this kind of like Odegaard playing as that in that half space, he was holding down the right wing on his own and doing a really, really good job of it. He's able to attack in a lot of different ways. I think the biggest difference in him and Nicolas Pepe is just differentiation in his game. I don't think you're seeing like the same goal over and over like you kind of do with Pepe. Like you kind of expect Pepe to go to the 18, cut across, and take a shot with his left foot and try to hit that top corner. And with Saka, there's just so much differentiation to his game where he can totally do that because he has a very strong left foot. but he's also got like a really nice cross on his right foot. And it's got kind of two-footedness is really adds a level to his game that's just so effective. He's got to be England's best right winger right now,
Do you
which
know
is
what, Mitch?
insane.
I think it's his lack of fear. He doesn't care who he comes up against. He's direct. He's willing to take people on, and it's that thing. When you're young, you're either full of it, confidence, and you want to do that type of thing, or you get a bit scared and intimidated by the opposition. He doesn't do that. He's not intimidated by anyone.
Yeah, and as a result of that, you see him getting hacked a little bit, which is not great to see. He's not protected in the same way that I feel like a lot of other Premier League stars are, because his direct way of playing leads him to have these kind of close run-ins with defenders, and a lot of times they're just kicking him. And so he mentioned something to like the referee at halftime, and then so he was asked about it after the game, and it's like, yeah, that's how he plays. He's like, yeah, I play direct, and I need some level of protection from the referees if they're just going to kick me. And yeah, that's completely fair. Gerrard had an interesting thing to say about that for sure. But with Gerrard going with the like frat boy strategy when it comes to hazing, of being like, well, I experienced it, so you have to too. And it's just like, that's not how things should work. So, I mean, going back to Saka, just a fantastic player. I'm so excited to hear reports from The Athletic that we are looking to extend him and in talks to extend him. 125K a week sounds is the reported price. Sounds great. Hopefully lock him down for 5, hopefully 6 years on the next deal. And because, I mean, he's got to be the corner piece. He's like a borderline generational talent that should be the front runner for Young Player of the Year this season, I would assume. But Foden might get it just because he plays for Man City, which would be unfortunate. But just such a good player. I don't think there's enough good things in the world you can say about Bukayo Saka.
Let's just run through. Match of the Day came up with some stats on their rather large screen. Touches in the opposition box, 11. He came first in the ranking for that match. Shots, 3. He was first. Passes in the final third. He was second. And fouls, 1. He was second in that. What did you make of the Tyrone Mings foul on him?
Yeah, that was
a yellow card for him.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Tyrone Mings. I don't think he's very good. I think he's very clumsy. I think the only reason he makes the England squad is because he's left-footed. If he wasn't, he'd be nowhere near it. I don't think he'd be in the Premier League if he was not left-footed. Like, he's just not a very good center back. It was kind of a wild challenge to come in on Saka. He could have hurt him very badly.
I might be wrong here, Mitch, but didn't he kick Lacazette in the head when we played last time out? He's quite a dirty, roughhouse, shithousery person, isn't he?
Very possible. I don't remember, so you can't like quote me on it. But I don't remember. But I'm not a fan of his whatsoever. A bit of a wild challenge. I think there was definitely a say for that to be a red card. I think it's so tough because red cards can be so harsh for certain plays where it's like that play was like he doesn't directly hit Saka. So it's for sure worthy of a card. What?
It was a follow through. It wasn't.
Yeah.
He got the ball. No argument.
Yeah.
With that.
I think it's more of like, it's one of those like orange card situations where like it's hard to argue either way. Where it's like right in the middle of like, you can very easily make the argument for that being a yellow card. You can very easily make the argument for that being a red. A lot of that comes down to what team you're watching.
Yeah, exactly. Xhaka got his standard yellow card. You have to bear with me because the kids have taken all the notes away. I'm having to do it via phone now. The little mites. Xhaka got his standard yellow card for a professional shithousery. But did you see the McGinn shove on Lacazette? There was nothing said about it. He gave him a full old shove when it all
Yeah.
kicked off with the Saka incident.
Yeah, it was like a full shove, and I mean, it just wasn't seen. So some of those things just go under the radar. Sometimes Xhaka will commit 3 ghost fouls and get a yellow card for it because he
They
had
were on a
committed
tea
one.
break at VAR.
Yeah, Xhaka's yellow card was for accumulation of fouls, and that was his first foul of the game. And it's just ridiculous the way that the like preconceived bias that particularly Xhaka has is really really annoying to see. The one thing that we can kind of take as nice though as fans is there's actually less of a chance Xhaka gets sent off when he's on a yellow card. He's actually never gotten a second yellow in his Arsenal career.
He cuts out the second, doesn't he? Just goes straight.
Yeah,
It's the red. Cut out the middle
exactly.
man.
Yeah,
Don't leave anyone in any doubt.
yeah.
Let's get on to when Pepe lost his head. He bundled over Luiz, which was quite interesting at the death. Leno saved. Let's give that guy some credit. Come on, he spent about 7 months on the sidelines. What I loved about it, yes, it was exciting. It was a last minute thing. Great save, by the way. But it was the way the players got round him as the whistle went. I mean, it really does show that spirit that they've been nurturing and Arteta's instilled in his players. It's lovely to watch.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to cover there, but like this is just a different. There's just such an energy around this team right now. There's so much like excitement when it comes like with the fans at the matches and the players that like have this togetherness. Like you even saw like Ramsdale just like hugging Leno after that, and like that's so like it's so cool to see this team with like this sense of togetherness making this push for top 4. This is a very young squad with just making a very, very nice run. And it's very cool to see them on this kind of level together. In regards to Pepe, he and Nketiah were both awful when they came on. They were horrendous. And I think that's just kind of like the biggest frustration with Pepe is just like sometimes you get his performance when he comes on against Wolves, and like we don't win the game without Pepe because he was phenomenal in that match as a sub. And then he almost cost us against Aston Villa because he made a dumb foul when he very much didn't need to. He wasn't the last man. Cedric was like right there. Made a dumb foul.
Wasn't even a foul, was it? He just tried to run through his backside. He just sort of clubbed him, elbowed him, tripped him. It was messy. It was a typical striker's attempt.
It was not a good performance from Nicolas Pepe. Not a good cameo at all. Hopefully, when he comes on again, he'll be better. But like, just not the performance you want when you're kind of fighting for your Arsenal career right now. Because I at this point, I think it's very, very likely we sell him in the summer. And look for someone else to kind of take that backup right wing role behind Saka.
It's a shame because I still think there's a player in there, but we just can't get him to. Sometimes he runs off without the ball. I mean, sometimes he shows real purpose and he cuts in all the rest of it for his trademark goal. But he does a lot of work as well. I've noticed that he'll track back. He will do a lot of work.
He's improved a lot in that regard. For sure. I think the biggest thing is he just doesn't fit in the system. He's just not a progression, a possession-based player. He works better when he can play off the last man as a winger and play in more of a counter-attacking role when he can run into space. That's not really how we've operated for a while.
Do you think he's a bit of a lone ranger as well, Mitch? Because when you've got Odegaard and Saka, they're on the same page, aren't they?
I think it's more so that he's just he can't operate well on his own is the thing. Like when he's been asked to do what Saka has been asked to do in the past of like facilitate the entire right side by himself with like no overlap from a fullback, he's not been very effective because he just doesn't have anywhere to go. If he has a fullback running in behind him, that opens up a little bit of space. Having the defender follow the fullback, he's able to drive into that kind of like area. But like by himself, he doesn't have that, and he's obviously just not on the same level that like Saka is with Odegaard. That just comes with playing together more. But I think it's unfortunate for Pepe, but I just think he just does not fit into the system. He's a very one-fitted player. He's not a player you spend 70 million on, unfortunately. It's unfortunate to say that the signing just never really worked out, which
Well,
is
it
a
worked
tough
out for
thing to
Raul,
say.
didn't it? It worked out for
Yeah,
Raul. He's living the
well,
high life now.
he lost his job about it. So
Very
like,
much. It's the
uh,
unsaid thing, isn't it?
I think that there's like Arteta's known for a long time that Pepe doesn't really fit into this like how he wants to play. There's a reason that Willian started over him for such a long time, and it's like Arteta really wanted Willian to be that. Willian obviously wasn't. He was atrocious as well. But like we've seen sparks of what Pepe could have been, and it's
Sometimes you can't
frustrating.
polish, can you?
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating that Pepe never turned out, which is tough to say about a record signing. But you know, it's a completely new group of people that are in after that signing. So I'd say we move on from him in the summer, find a younger right wing that we can bring in and to deputize for Saka when necessary. But unfortunate that Pepe had such a terrible performance.
We got slagged off again. This time it was by Ashley Young, and then Gabby Abonglahor started.
Yep.
I don't know whether you saw it. There's a delightful piece. We've got it on the audio version of the podcast. Laura Woods, in reply to Gabby Abonglahor.
Yes, it was really good.
Yeah, regarding over celebrating. What is the trend at the minute? How can you over celebrate? We've covered it before, but we do it again.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any issue with what we're doing. Like, we're not popping champagne bottles. Like it's just I think it kind of goes along with like the spirit this team is showing, where it's just like this togetherness with the fans, and like Leno hasn't played in a long time. He made a really nice save to end the game. His teammates getting around him, celebrating. Like this isn't like this like Champions League winning side that needs to be serious at all times. I think I've seen some really interesting things from. I think Liverpool fans are really interesting in this regard of like I think they understand our process really well because they saw it. This is what they went through when Klopp came in. They had tough times. They had a really tough squad, and they had this slow transition. Like you have these pictures of like this Liverpool team like hand in hand, like celebrating a 2-2 draw with West Brom, and like it's the same thing. Like it's this. That's what made Liverpool fans love Jurgen Klopp is him celebrating every single thing that Liverpool got, anything that they could get. And it was this slow and gradual process. I think Liverpool fans see it from that Arsenal fans, why there's so much to be excited about, why the players have so much to be excited about. It's a tough away game against a good team. I was listening to the Tifo football podcast earlier, and they were kind of talking about this, and it's like, would you rather this team be like, oh well, we expected to beat them, so we're not even going to bother celebrating? Like, what do you want, Ashley Young? Like, what do you want this to be? So there's no reason to get on fans or players for celebrating wins. There's no given wins in the Premier League anymore. That's not a thing. Every win is fought, and when every point matters in this race for top four, because Spurs are kicking into gear a little bit, and we don't want to fall. We don't want to drop points when we shouldn't. When we get a really good away win with this young team, we absolutely should celebrate. We should absolutely be happy about it. There's no reason to not be. And it's a sport. Let people have fun. Like these are grown men that get to play a game for a living. They aren't allowed to have fun. Like Gary Neville got on a bunch of Manchester United players for like traveling during their break and like going to F1, going to the F1 race. And it's like, why are you going to get on players for that? Do you want to just brood in their house after a loss? Like these are human beings who play a game for a living. Like let people have fun. It makes no sense to be like policing people's fun, other than just like being mad that we're winning. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Mitch,
stupid.
if you had seen me when I was playing football, I scored. And by the time he blew the final whistle, I was still running up and down celebrating. So they've got nothing on me. And great scenes as well. Afterwards, they all stayed behind, didn't they, to celebrate the fans, and it was phenomenal. Did you notice that Saka took his shirt off and give it to some young lad who had a little sign up saying, Saka, I need your shirt, or I'd like your shirt, or whatever. But that's, again, we'll come on to something else in a little while about the spirit of these Arsenal players, the way they're linking with the fans and the fans are linking with the players. Absolutely brilliant. So who was your man of the match for us?
I think Thomas Partey is a very good option. He controlled the match really well. I think Sky gave it to Saka, and that's completely fair. He was really, really effective. But I think Xhaka and Partey were probably the two best players in the match. Yeah, I mean, just like I was saying earlier, this midfield is just clicking really, really nicely, and it's controlling the entire tempo. And it's really key to controlling games, and that's why we're controlling games. So Partey and Xhaka, one or the other, is my man of the match.
There's so much to Partey's game now as well. I mean, going in reverse and getting a foot in to get the ball back, starting up the moves, blocking off the space, getting the ball forward, and some really nice quality balls forward as well. Big fan, very impressed by him. I know he's had his knockers in the past, but no, he was the man of the match for me, that's for sure. Right, shall we get on to some transfer rumours? 6 words or less. Who we got now? Cody Gakpo, 22, PSV Eindhoven. Heard of him?
No, I haven't. So need more research.
Yeah, get on it after the pod. 16 goals, 15 assists in all competition. Strong, athletic, agile, pacey. I've been looking him up. I should have sent you a link, shouldn't I, really? We'll do that next time. Goals from inside and outside the box, an instinctive striker. I put down here for my 6 words or less. Looks useful. I didn't go mad.
Good. Yeah, see, that's how you know this pod is live. Is he wouldn't make me look like an idiot if we had scripted this.
Well, I just know you're a man of the people. You're a man of the world. You're putting your feelers out. You're into all this football.
I unfortunately haven't caught a lot of PSV games lately.
Well, me neither, but I went on YouTube and looked him up.
Yeah.
Right, the next one is Victor Osimhen.
Napoli. For Napoli. Would be fantastic. Great.
See, I've got you one.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is like Napoli bought him for like 80 million a couple of years ago, so he would be far from cheap. But really, really good player. Really strong player. Really good finisher. He'd be a fantastic signing.
Yeah, I've got here in the notes there. Great header of the ball, strong, full of tricks, athletic. My 6 words or less were preferred option out of the two. We've got some emails. Gary says, how many players does Arteta need to bring in the summer? We're going to let you know, Gaz. Mitch?
I think minimum 2. Like we bring in like a premier striker and a central midfielder. That I think that's assuming we like hold on to a lot of players. But I think we're going to have a decent amount of outgoings for the summer. I think the biggest 2 are obviously central midfield and striker, but then also backup right back is a big hole as well. I think Cedric's deputized pretty well, but I'm not a fan of him long term in that position. And then a backup right winger behind Saka when I think we'll sell Pepe in the summer.
Yeah, because if we don't back up Saka, he's going to suffer burnout, isn't he? He can't play all those games, especially if we get to Europe. Sarah is sent us an email. Sarah's email's just completely disappeared, so we won't be able to do that one. Robo Bob says basically he's back on the podcast again. He said, do we risk the chance of losing ESR if he doesn't get more games over the next sort of season or so?
No. We've had some wild ESR takes in the emails the last couple of weeks, and like him not playing is far from like a bad thing. It's more so but just been like unluckiness with him with injuries and COVID, and then Martinelli's played well. Like, I think that's just like the biggest thing. Like he's not a player that's gonna be like demanding to leave if he doesn't like play a certain amount of minutes. He's played a lot of minutes for us this season. Still a young player. We've got a different young player that's very exciting and offers other things at the same position. And he's come in that finisher role and been really good when he's been given those opportunities. He can play in a variety of positions. He will play in a variety of position for us. I don't think we are talking about losing ESR because of lack of playing time. I think the more likely option in the chance that we lose ESR is a team coming in to buy him, just like giving us a lot of money. But even then, he just signed a new deal. He just got the number 10 shirt. He's having a great season. I think people forget that he's like still our highest scorer. Like he still has the most goals for us this season. So yeah, I don't think there's any reason to worry about losing Smith Rowe for playtime. I don't think he's been benched. I think Martinelli's stepped up well in that position when Smith Rowe has been hurt or sick, and Smith Rowe's played well when he's come back in. So we've got two very talented. We have four talented players for three positions when it comes to Odegaard, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, and Saka. So to have rotation, have options, that's what we want. That's what we want to be. Like Liverpool has 5 really good players for 3 positions, and they aren't talking about like, oh, but like Mane is not getting enough minutes now, and like he might like. Yeah, this is how it works. Like if your team, you're like a really good team, you need really good depth. You need to have. You can't just like, all right, we have Kevin De Bruyne. We don't need anyone else who plays that position because we only need Kevin De Bruyne. You need players because he's not going to be in every single match. So yeah, no reason to be worried about Smith Rowe's play time by any means.
Right, another one that I found on social media. I can't give you the exact information because the phone's just died as well, so that's handy. But there was a bit of a kooky one from James, and it was one of these ones where it's accusational, and it was saying whose fault is it basically that this season has drifted off slightly, which I didn't really understand because it's who would have thought we'd be in 4th? But he was going through a list of names who's let the side down: Xhaka, Holding, Cedric, or some other person. And I just sent him a message saying, what about Aubameyang? Aubameyang wasn't playing and firing because the two, the manager and the club and the player weren't connecting, and he had that drought. So if we're, not that I want to blame players for sort of lulls or anything in form, but to pick out players, Cedric, well, how can you blame Cedric for anything? He hasn't had a game. It's not had a sniff.
Yeah, I don't. Some of these email questions, Tom.
Well, that's off social media. I picked it off because I thought, what planet are you on? Why are you looking to blame someone when we're actually sitting in 4th position with a chance?
Some people just like being negative. Yeah, because like Xhaka has been great, Holding's been great every time he's played. Like, there's no reason to just decide that we're bad, even though like there's nothing that backs up your argument.
Scapegoat syndrome.
Some people just like want an excuse to be angry, like Piers Morgan, who's like bringing up Aubameyang every time he scores. So I don't know. I don't give a lot of thought to that kind of take. It's dumb. That's my take. Is that's dumb.
I think Ali McCoy's came out with a really good one on Squawk Sport. He said that basically there was that problem between the club manager and the player. And now you should be, whatever side of the fence you're sitting on, if you're an Aubameyang fan, you should be absolutely made up. The man's on fire. He's doing really well. And Arsenal are doing really well. What's the issue?
I'm really happy as an Arsenal fan who loves Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. I'm so happy that Arsenal got rid of him, got rid of his contract, got rid of any distractions that he's causing. And Aubameyang is going to a situation where he's playing great. And Arsenal's playing great. This is great for both teams.
Well, let's be honest, Mitch. There are a lot of teams over there that are tyre fitters and welders, aren't there? And fruit and veg salesmen. They're not all like Real Madrid or anything, are they?
Well, he did score 2 against Real Madrid, so he's not slacking.
Yeah, we'll let him off with that one. Let's talk about Gabby Martinelli.
Yep.
I think we haven't spoken about him enough because he gets slightly overshadowed because it's been the Odegaard show, isn't it, really, or the Saka show?
Yeah.
We're gradually introducing Thomas Partey. Come in, Thomas. Come into the fold. But we'll talk about Gabby Martinelli. Basically, what does he bring for you in his performances?
He brings that killer instinct. I think that's one of the biggest things for him. I think it's something you want to see out of a striker, which is I think one of the many reasons that a lot of people are calling to see see Martinelli play that number 9 role. And so he has that killer instinct. He has those runs toward the box, but he's just got just like an excellent technical quality of like every single goal that Gabriel Martinelli has scored has been just like so good. Everything, every single one. Like just really nice volleys, really nice solo runs. His performance against Leeds this season stand out to me a lot. He scored a brace in that match. He played a little bit like a striker in that inside forward in that left half space. Xhaka had a really, really nice ball into him for, I don't remember who was the first or the second goal, but he made a run in and then just had like a really, really nice finish. And then another one where he chipped the keeper. So he's really, really good at playing off the last man when he's played in. I think if we had a more creative player, like Xhaka clearly showed in that match that he can play those balls through, but like we have like a more creative player in that left 8. I think Gabby would really flourish in the same way that we've seen Saka flourish on the right side with Odegaard kind of in tandem with him. So just a really special player. Jurgen Klopp does not waste a moment to praise Gabriel Martinelli every time we play Liverpool. Which is like a good sentiment. Like, thanks, Jurgen, but like stay away. Please stop praising Saka and Martinelli because no, you can't have them.
Well, he had his arm around Saka, didn't he? Giving him the old fatherly cuddle.
Like a couple weeks after like a rumor that they were interested in Saka, and I was like, oh, I don't love that.
I don't think they're going anywhere.
No, I don't think so either. Martinelli said he'll play for the club for the rest of his career, which is always nice to hear as a fan. And it'll be crushing if he does leave. He's just a special player. He's got so much room to grow. I have no idea where his future holds in his role. I think that'll be an interesting development to see as time goes on, because he definitely has parts to his game that would be way better as a forward, as a striker, and there's definitely parts of his game that I think suits in that wide role a lot better. So I think it'll be interesting to see what direction he goes. But
Mitch, would you be tempted to give him a bit of artistic license and let him do that roaming thing that Thierry Henry was so good at? Thierry Henry, sometimes you find him right, sometimes you find him left, sometimes he just go through the middle.
Yeah, I think it would be an interesting role. I don't know if it necessarily fits just like the tactical shape that we want because of the defensive responsibilities that's kind of being asked of the higher wing players. Like Martinelli's being asked to track back for the left or for the right back. And so I don't think I think it would cause a lot of some more structural issues defensively if he was able to drift out right or drift through the center. I think he does have some free reign when it comes to drifting out wide to the end line or drifting into that half space because he has that kind of like killer instinct to run into the box onto the ball that Lacazette doesn't. Like if against Liverpool in that play where he nutmegs Henderson, gets the line, puts in a ball in, if a different Martinelli was running into the box, we score a goal there. If it was 2 Martinellis in that play, I think we score a goal. So, I mean, just a really, really special player.
That's a novel idea. Let's have that. Right, let's get to. I just want to add that Martinelli for me is just another one, not scared of anything, very direct, and he loves taking on people, doesn't he? but he's got a
Mhm.
fabulous touch. I'm going to get slagged off for this, but when he brings the ball down, it's Bergkamp-esque. And we're going to talk about
High
that to a
praise.
degree.
High praise.
Yeah, he's not Dennis. He's not Dennis.
You've
But
compared
the
him to
way
Bergkamp and Henri within 5 minutes. That's something right there.
he's got some qualities, but he's not there yet. Let's talk about the biggest goals for me that he's had. The one against Chelsea, and
Yeah.
then we'll let you run off the one against Newcastle, which is my favourite Martinelli goal. So let's do the
Yeah.
Chelsea one first, Mitch. What do you
I think the
remember?
Chelsea one was just like, I think that was like the Gabriel Martinelli arrival goal. Like it was his first season. Great assist by Willian, Arsenal legends, by whipping in that Chelsea cross. Wow, I think this is like showing my
Why did we
healing
let
that
him
I just
go?
refer. I think it's showing my healing that I can joke about Willian now. I think that I'm past the pain of Willian. But like really great. He has a little bit of luck with Conte slipping, but just like such a composed run to go all that way, and instead of just like being gassed, like just a calm and composed slot into that corner. And really, like for that game state, I mean, Luiz had been sent off down to 10 men, and to be able to get that 2-2 in that match was really, really impressive. I vividly remember watching that in my college's student union. Just like a bunch of people huddle around a TV and we're like, holy shit, what is going on? This is incredible. And it was like during a time in which I'd kind of like stopped paying attention like as much to Arsenal, like the end of Emery and like beginning of Arteta. I kind of like had like lost this like interest of like, oh, I'm going to wake up early for every single Arsenal game kind of thing, because the end of the Emery era was just so tough. But that Martinelli goal was really, really fun to watch, and just such an impressive goal for someone that young and like first season in the Premier League. Just so good.
Go to the Newcastle one then. What do you remember about that? Tommy Asu on the right.
Yeah, so I mean, I rewatched it prior to this pod, and so that means I rewatched it like 8 times, because I think probably one of my favorite parts about the goal is the commentary. I think it's one of those goals. It's like one of those sports moments where I think like the commentary that goes with it has to be attached to it, because it just makes it like so much better. Like that goal, if you watch it on silent, it's like, holy shit, that was a great goal. But if you watch it with the commentary, I don't know who the play-by-play commentator was, because he was just like, Tomiyasu puts the ball over to Martinelli, and it's gorgeous, and it's just like that kind of like that commentary just like has me beaming every single time.
I tell you what,
love
though,
that goal.
that's such a difficult ball, isn't it? Because
Yes.
it's kind of looping over.
Yeah.
It's coming in fast. There's
Martinelli
the
got
timing of
subbed
the
on.
run, the balance, and controlling it.
Yeah. Martinelli got subbed on in the right wing that match, which is not a position we've seen him play very much. And to see him kind of just like make this just instinct run, and Tomiyasu puts this ball over, and he can just look back and then get the timing right to hit it over Dubravka's head is just so impressive. He makes it look so easy. He makes it look like you could run out there right now and totally do that. But that's one of the most difficult technical goals I've ever seen. And I don't think it gets talked about enough. That should be a goal that I see on Twitter every single week. Every single week, someone should be like, hey, you guys remember this goal that Martinelli scored? Pretty great, right? Because like it was insane. Like it should be the goal. If it's not goal of the season at the end of the year, I'm going to riot, because that is my favorite
On
goal.
your own?
I love it. Yes, I will go to the Emirates with a picket sign and be like, Martinelli gets Newcastle, should have won goal of the season.
You know what? When they put
it.
these compilations of goals, you'll always see the Mesut Ozil goal against Ludogorets. You'll always see the Bergkamp goal against Newcastle. You will always see maybe the Scorpion goal by Giroud.
By Giroud, yeah.
Palace. Henri against Spurs. That has got to be in there, because it doesn't matter, does it, about eras and all that sort of thing. That would slot quite nicely in with all these top Arsenal goals. And I've got to be honest,
that looks like a goal that like Bergkamp or Henri would score. Just like
Oh,
an
there you go.
insane
Hey,
technical
building him up.
quality. Yeah,
It's easy done, isn't it?
I'll jump on the train.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal player, and I think we've really not seen the best of him yet. He's just getting
Yeah.
his feet wet. I think we've got
Yeah,
a
for
lot
sure.
more to come. Mitch, we're run out of time. Thanks ever so much for joining the gun room again, and we'll see you on the next one. What are you up to? Anything much in the international break?
No, I will probably be continuing to write on my Twitter account at Mitch the Otter if anyone wants to follow me on there. And then I'll be hoping the US beats Mexico in World Cup qualifiers.
Great. I was going to say something to you then. I forgot what it is now. Can't have been that important, can it?
I guess not.
Okay then. It's probably what I'll do is I'll set you up again next time, and I'll throw in some bogus player that doesn't even exist.
Great, yeah. Yeah, no, oh, he's such a good finisher. It's like, oh, I got you.
But phlegm from Argentina. All right, mate. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks again.
See you soon.